Well, Hi there. I'd just like to begin by saying, do not operate out of fear. Operate out of love. Be the highest version of yourself because you are unique. Yet something which isn't unique is our shared hatred, our shared resentment for learning. 97%. That's the percentage of students known to get distracted while studying. 97%. That means at least every student here gets distracted while studying. I mean, unless you're a genius like the head of speaker Sumesh, you're gonna get distracted.
But why though? Why is it that we're always so disinterested in studying? Well, it might be because as students, we often associate studying with learning, and that's pretty much it. In the beginning, I accepted this notion of how boring studying might be, but that's when my parents kept on telling me, Gavin, focus, Gavin, don't get distracted. But instead, what I told them is that the main culprit, the main reason was always social media. Like any other drug, social media was uncontrollable, it was unpredictable, it was addictive. And like any other drug, we all knew the symptoms of social media. We all knew that it causes addiction, but more importantly, we all knew that it causes a decrease in productivity. But instead, all of us today, we all wake up and we frantically search for our phones in hopes of searching for our favorite apps such as Instagram, Snapchat, or Facebook in hopes of reconnecting to our digital world.
As humans, social media is known to transport us to a world which is focused on reconnecting. Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook, the biggest social media website, on the ideology of finding a way to bridge the divide between isolation and real human connections. But what he didn't realize is these real human relationships which he was pursuing, he was in fact destroying.
The days we wanted everything.
He was in fact destroying.
But instead, today's social media has turned into a plague that only causes sickness and darkness, a plague that only inflicts violence, hatred, and anger on its victims. Today's social media is known to cause depression in every two to three victims out of 5 teenagers. That means that the 2 people that are sitting right beside you in the audience, at least one of them is currently experiencing depression, hatred, and self-loathing. And this brings a question. Why? Why do we feel so disconnected, so lost, when we're meant to feel connected through social media?
Well, to answer Gavin's question, social media is in fact destroying all our relationships. Everything which we're doing, pursuing real human connections, social media is not able to do that. When we're trying to replace something so natural such as human connections with a knockoff like social media, we can see through the lies, through the emptiness in our conversations. LOL, LMAO, that's not really human connections. It's not forming true human relationships.
A story my father once told me when I was younger was about a Greek philosopher called Plato. Plato said that human connection isn't just a privilege for the rich or the wealthy, but instead human connection is ingrained into our species as humans. He said that in the beginning of time, humans actually had 2 faces, 2 bodies, and 1 soul. And over time, as we eventually evolved, we split up from our other half, we split up from our companion. And the purpose of our life was to look forward, to look for our other companion that we had so far lost, to reunite with our relationships with our loved ones, in hopes of finally becoming a better person.
So, one thing which the modern world is really fearing is artificial intelligence. And what we're not realizing is, as humans, through social media and through modern technology, we're regressing from humans into robots. And our own creations are failing us. And to answer Plato's real quest, we say we should adopt the mantra,
Control, Alt, Delete.
That means to reset. It means to sit down with yourself, without your phone by the way. Sit down with yourself, prioritize, reflect. Look at what's going good for you, and look at what's going bad. And try to keep what's good, but remove all that's bad. You'll be creating a positive life. And you'll let go of everything which is bad. So that means you'll be happy at most times, and not going through depression when you are on social media.
First, let's control. Let's control our emotions such as happiness, anger, jealousy, or depression. These emotions can be helpful, they can be insightful, they can tell us a bad character from a good one or a good character from a bad one. But they can also be deceitful. They can block out how we view ourselves, how we view others in our lives. And therefore, to become a better person, become a better individual, we should have more control of these emotions.
Instead, let's learn how to respond and not react. By overreacting or reacting at all, we're in fact letting them overpower us, take control of us. And we can even use this for other restraints in our life, such as overreacting when you get too much homework from your teacher, overreacting when your mother shouts at you, overeating. I know many of us do that. And that's something which we need to learn how to control. And it's not that we only use this on social media, but we can use this for other restraints in our life as well.
And finally,
that brings us to our second command, alternative. Now, by alternative, I mean that they say that you attract what you focus on. So if I focus on all my problems, I'll just attract more of them. So why not focus on the solutions instead? That way, I've already begun with a positive approach. I've begun by thinking that there are solutions. By doing so, I'll start attracting these solutions and be able to find alternative methods to what we're doing in our lives. Suppose you find it enjoyable to draw, and you're not following that. And it's creating negativity in your life, so you can always look for an alternative thing to do. Find another passion or find another hobby which really helps you enjoy, and don't get forced into doing something.
And finally, we should delete. We should delete everything in our life that might not be working. This might sound easy to say, but as humans, we often cling on to things that we find comfort in. For instance, we all know the vicious cycle that we follow where we think we're going to spend 5 hours of our time doing work, spending that time on our extended essays, but instead, we spend more of that time on social media and procrastinating. So instead, we should break this cycle. We should replace it with something that has more meaning. For instance, instead of using social media, we should perhaps read a book. Even though that's absurdly boring for us millennials, we know that after we've read a book for 1 hour, we can look back at it and we would have no regrets. And we can't say the same for social media. Therefore, to become a better person, to evolve as a person, and to eventually become a person we're striving to be, we should adopt the mantra, Control, Alt, Delete. Thank you.